Afternoon everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while, 6 months I think actually. So where are we at? We've had some good times and some bad times, but then don't we all? On the last video I was doing the conversion from multi-point injection, which I actually did, got the car running, no problem. All it was pinning a couple of wires, remove a couple of wires, add a lambda sensor, hey presto. But as I was doing it, I got a comment off my old man about how I'm constantly chasing power, which got me thinking, and I kind of spent a bit of money and altered plans a bit. So I'm going to show you what I've done, and I'm not sure if it's a good idea or not. Right, what you see here is another K series, but not just any K series. If we swing around the sides, the inlet manifold and the throttle body might give it away a bit. 52mm throttle body, yes. It's also got black injectors, and you know why? Back on the seat. So, yeah, bought it as a 143 VVC with the MEMS 2J ECU. But then I got offered, sorry, the dog's crawling around in the background. Then I was offered the 160 VVC inlet manifold, throttle body with the black injectors and the head and a MEMS 3 ECU. I couldn't say no really, but obviously buying any second-hand engine can be a bit of a risk. So what I decided to do was strip it apart and check, because I didn't want to go putting all this in, rewiring everything, because it's a nightmare converting from 2J to MEMS 3 if you've ever tried it yourself. So done all of that. And I've got to say, I was surprised it was in really good condition. But a few things I want to say while we're talking about K series. I was talking to a guy who did some of the work for me. There's a few things, like the big myth with the K series is head gasket failure. Now, main reason for head gasket failure is because people take the heads off for a head gasket in the first place a lot of the time, and they don't put it back together properly. Because you've got to remember with these engines, I mean, they're not crap engines. Cosworth were involved in designing them and tried to buy them off Powertrain when Phoenix Consortium went bust, but they failed. But because you've got the liners, and you've got to make sure they're just proud of the block. There's a factory measurement, you can't go above it or below it, so you got to make sure that's there. Make sure if you've got one of the older ones, you got to make sure the plastic dowels have been got rid of, metal ones put in instead. Use the latest gasket, and the big one, I've seen this quite a few times, stretch bolts. The clue's in the name, they stretch, and this engine is a sandwich engine, so the bolts go from all the way through from top to bottom, and when you torque them up, when the engine warms up, it gives you the heat expansion, bolts stretch a little bit, but that's okay because it gives them the perfect torque for the heat cycle on that particular engine. Now, if you take the engine apart, then put it back together with the old bolts and use the factory torque settings, you're not tightening it up right, the head's loose, so the gasket's going to fail in no time. And I've seen some people on YouTube saying, oh, you just give them another quarter turn. How do you know that that's proper torque setting still? So don't be a tightwad. if you'd messing with one of these engines, you replace stuff. For the price of it, it's not much. I mean, with mine, I did absolutely everything: water pump, oil pump, new rings, new bearings, had the head done, just refreshed, brand new bolts, as well as the uprated head gasket. So it should be good to go. I've also got Jan Speed manifold, which are as rare as hen's teeth. So with that and no cat, I'm hoping to get a decent amount higher than the 160 brake horse, which in a car that weighs, I think it's about 650, 700 kilo, is heading towards 200 bhp a tonne. So should be fun. With regard to the bodywork, I haven't had a lot of success so far because I had a pop-up garage which kids decided to get into and destroy one night. Insurance company wouldn't cover it. And the name of the channel might give it away, but peg leg, I've only got one leg. And I broke the prosthetic for the other, and you can't do a lot of work when you've only got the one leg to stand on. You tend to fall over quite a lot. So the rear bumper's done. At the moment it's black because it's got guide coat over it to make sure it's all perfectly flat. Front bumper coming on a bit, but I'm not going to show you much of it at the moment because I've got plans. You see, this car, sorry I'm rambling, this car, the Midas, came out in 1985. Now Gordon Murray of McLaren F1 fame and Brabham Formula 1 fame was involved in the aerodynamics, but back then aerodynamics were still fairly early. Now he taught the guys who own the factory about the ground effects. It's got a perfectly flat floor, but what it hasn't got is a splitter, and the back end slopes down as well, which isn't that great considering I want it as a track car doing over 100 mile an hour. So I'm going to be building in a, not one of these stupid race splitters, like enormous things, just a small lip at the bottom to make sure I've got perfectly flat air going through, because my last one, it did get a bit light when you're throwing it down the motorway. And the back, obviously, it'll just be a little duckbill spoiler, which I'll be creating as well. So keeping those under wraps for now. Hopefully it won't be long before the next video where I'll have more progress, probably on the front bumper, because I can do that inside the house while I'm waiting for my new Clark pop-up garage to turn up. I might actually do a video on that as well, just so you can all have a laugh at me arguing with the missus trying to put it up. So for now, I've given you my moaning, useless information sort of thing. If you're intrigued by what's going on, hit like, hit subscribe, whichever side that's on, and it'll keep you up to date. Obviously, helps me as well, and other Midas owners can look on it, because I'm sure once I've done it, they'll start thinking we can stick that much power in rather than an old Mini or Metro 1275 A series engine. And obviously there'll be other people interested in the fiberglass work and the custom work. So have a good day, week, month, and I'll... He wouldn't let me onto the channel and say hello to anyone, and he kept waffling, so I've cut him off.